So in front of you, you should see my high school transcript. You'll notice, where's my pen? Over here, there's freshman year, okay, and then sophomore year, junior year, and senior year. These are all the classes that I took, and then these are all the grades that I got in them. And I figured I'd start there in sharing like my experiences. These are the classes I took in this certain order. You'll notice like where is it? So like back then, freshman year, you could pick your classes at the semester mark. So I had one set of teachers here, and then later in the spring, I could choose different set of teachers. Right now at Lowell, they have it like you have the same teacher all throughout freshman year. And I kind of like that better because, um, but you still get to practice the arena, the course selection process. And so we're like here at the moment, and then going on to sophomore year, like what's going to happen then. Um, yeah, any questions on these classes? I'm going to try to avoid talking about teachers, but I think inevitably that will come up. Okay, so like I'll post this too, and you can look at it at your own leisure. But you notice like things that stand out, right? Like in math, I didn't get A's, so I got a C my freshman year, and then down here I got a B, right? And later in geometry I got B, and then over here I got a C. Pretty much like math wasn't my highest grades, right? Pre-calculus here, it's a bunch of P's and C's. Calculus, and then calculus again. For me, the question was asked, what subject was most fun. It really depended on like the students in the class. Like I think I would have a lot of fun if I were a student in our Algebra 1, Block 8, and Block 7 too. It's a good group of people. But let's see, freshman year, I enjoyed probably like PE, Chinese class, and then choir the most. It's probably not one of my academic subjects because like for Chinese, like over here, I had like Mr. Danforth the whole year, and that was really fun. Like at first impression, like oh, a white guy teaching me Chinese, that's pretty funny. I didn't expect that, and he's really good at what he does. But also like I was like woken up that point. Like I thought I knew Chinese, um, writing, reading, and all that. And then he gave me a B plus that first semester. I'm like, oh shoot, Mandarin's hard. I really got to study. And so that really upped my game. And like the participation in the class, like I had a cool partner. We had this other guy, and we were like a fun group doing skits. So I really enjoyed that. And let's see, what else did I say? Choir was really fun. I didn't take it my first year. You noticed my first semester, one, two, three, four, five, six. I only had six classes because I signed up for like a sports team. I was in cross country, and they didn't give me a block 8 then. So then, if you notice down here, then I jump up to seven classes, three, four, five, six, seven. That's when I added choir. And that was with a really cool choir teacher, Mr. Jefferson, also a teacher that went to Lowell during his time. So he'd share a bunch of stories, and he was really good at what he does. He was like this shorter black guy, but he had a really, really wide vocal range. He could sing like really high, like the sopranos, and also really low, like the basses. He can do all that, and so he would sing every single part and do it better than everyone else. So that was really entertaining. PE is always just fun, running around, less structure. And then here, sophomore year, that was kind of tough because I signed up for an AP class for the first time. Euro was definitely not fun. I had it block one in the morning. I don't recommend taking an AP history next year because as sophomores you'll have that option unless you really enjoy history. Like don't take it for the sake of like experiencing an AP class. Um, there's like human geo, that's only a semester, AP human geography. That might be worth it to take it just for one semester to get a sense of an AP class, but I wouldn't sign up for a year long thing like AP European history or world history, right? Or you can take it for the stress. Yeah, you can do that. I pretty much like signed up for AP Euro because all my friends signed up for that and I wanted to be with them. So it was more for social readings. You can see that like I really didn't care. I got C's and I got like a 3 on the AP test, and I was fine. It was unnecessary amount of stress that I would have avoided. Geo was fun because that's when like I felt better about math. It was less so about like it says accelerated math 2. That's like Algebra 2. Um, Back then, this was like the honors course, right? If you see the little H, the honors, right? I was on the honors track. They don't have that anymore. So this was Algebra 2. I took that as a freshman. Then I took geometry as a sophomore, and I was geo honors. So I took that with Mr. Hoffman. He's my boss now, and he's a good teacher, and I enjoy geometry as a subject and my teacher. So that's why geometry was fun, chemistry was fun, um, Chinese not so fun because of the teacher, who I won't name, and then choir was also fun. English was kind of and what else? Yeah, PE was fun. I had T Ray and then this other person that doesn't teach here anymore. Yeah, American history, eighth grade, you'll be surprised on how much, like later on, it actually helps because that is a junior year requirement that every junior has to take some kind of US history, either AP or not. So, yeah, I had a good AP, or I had a good eighth grade US history teacher, and that really helped me later. How is it having your old geo teacher as your boss? It's hilarious. Like I still call him like Mr. Hoffman. I can't really call him by his first name, and my uh like he has to be explicit with me. It's like no, Mr. Chan. He calls me Raymond, but like you gotta call me like by my first name now because we're coworkers, we're equals. And I'm like no 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 no, that's never the case. Right, geo as a subject is really fun. It totally is cooler than algebra if I were to be biased on anything. Um, Geometry is the way to go. Like I really like teaching geo. Lots of people you see disagree, but yeah, logic. Yeah, it's definitely more logic, and I like that part, even though some people don't. Like I'm a computer programmer, a computer scientist by training. I like that kind of thinking, so that's why I enjoy it. And then looking over here, right, for these other classes, I never really enjoyed English that much. Okay, all these electives that I took. But what was super fun was like junior year, I started taking computer programming, right, AP, and then this course. That was really fun. Hey, Victor. It's good to see you. I'm so in front of you. I'm just talking about my classes. Still going off the questions. What classes did I enjoy the most? Choir as an elective is really fun. I took it for what 3 years total, 6 semesters. I didn't take it as a freshman coming in, but I wanted to continue that here. And then over here, I was really bummed out because I didn't plan ahead enough. I had to take this requirement, American Democracy, and I was already taking 7 classes that I couldn't drop halfway. So I had to drop choir, and that's when they went to like Anaheim and went to Disneyland, and I didn't get to go with like the people I spent like all this time with. So I was really sad about that. Yeah, cool. And so while today's lesson is about classes at Lowell and stuff, I figured I'd start with my transcript just to summarize for those people that joined and like ask me questions either via the mic, unmute yourself and chime in and talk, or just type in chat as a lot of you are already doing. Okay. Uh, yeah, and then you'll notice like I definitely recommend if you can take advantage of like taking health, and then you don't have college and career anymore because you already did plan ahead, and there's no longer driver's ed as a requirement. So really, it's just health. Take that during the summer. Some of you are taking that now for scheduling reasons, but I wouldn't want one of your slots to like be health. Yeah, it's a really easy class, but it is a graduation requirement that you take a semester of health. And during the summer, it's 6 weeks, maybe 2 hours ish each day, maybe even less than that, like 3 weeks, 2 hours a day at some kind of high school, and then you get the credit. Unless you want to save health for like senior year somewhere in your schedule, it takes up a slot. You can also place it then as like your easy class. Let's see. So pretty much this is matches your schedule. A lot of your schedules, maybe with 6 classes. Okay. Except like math, it's probably algebra, and then here you can see I took 2 electives, a language and an art. I think you still have to take 2 years of language and 2 years of art, or is it one, something like that. But I'll focus on maybe your academic classes and what you have to take because now you got to plan ahead. Like now, it would have been the time for us to do course selection to tell like the counseling office, these are the classes I'm interested in. So then the department chairs and all the teachers can plan, okay, we need like 20 sections of Algebra 2 because this many people plan to take it, so on and so forth. It's good that it's all online. You practice that in registry, but since school's closed, we can still do it, but it's harder for us to like advise you on that because we're not in person. So I figured I can try to do some of the advising and post this onto YouTube for your classmates to listen to. Sophomore year, okay, you still got to take English, right? English, that's a requirement. 10th grade English, you got to take like 4 years of English, that's a given. Math, okay, this is where you kind of have a choice. You can take Geo or Algebra 2. Okay, and it's like either or. You can take just one geometry class, right? You can take 2 math classes, Geo and Algebra 2, and if you already took geometry, like some of you are right now, then you'll just go on to Algebra 2. Those are your options for math class. And a big question is like, should I double up? You'll hear that often talked about at Lowell. So when they say double up, that means taking geometry and Algebra 2 together. Because, like, let's say you were put on the wait list or you didn't get an opportunity to take geometry as a freshman, and you still want to get to AP Calculus, then you got to take geometry and Algebra 2, right? And then my question, or my answer to this is like, do you like math that much? Because it will take some motivation. It is going to be hard, right? If you don't, like, just pace yourself accordingly, take one math class a year, and it's like, do you want to learn calculus? Calculus. Not everyone needs to learn calculus. You could experience it, you'll see a little bit of that. It involves knowing yourself and what you want to do. So for me, and I'll zoom up a little bit, okay, like I ended up taking calculus over here, right? Calc there and there, right? I enjoyed that experience overall. I ended up majoring in computer science. They had a calculus requirement, so then I was set up in that ways. But that's like not for everyone. If you don't want to pursue that kind of thinking, like maybe you want to go to med school or something or be a lawyer, you won't have such a strict math requirement. Instead, you would be focused more on like the humanities and some other skills. Writing is going to be important, but less so like math. So you kind of have to like think about that. If you do enjoy math and you have room in your schedule, then I recommend, okay, you should probably think about taking geometry and algebra 2 so you have the opportunity to take calculus. If you're unsure, right, if you think that like right now, there's also the grade perspective, like how successful you'll be in geometry or algebra 2, think about how you're doing in algebra 1. If you're not doing so well, then maybe it's a bad idea for you to take 2 math classes at once, right? You have to be honest to yourself and kind of admit that. Like, this is where it gets hard. It's kind of unfortunate that schools close because this is like the the whole point of Algebra 1 to teach these kinds of skills around parabolas. Um, yeah, so maybe there's some special circumstances, but if you don't feel too good right now in my class, then you probably won't. I don't recommend taking 2 math classes. Questions so far? Because I can talk the most about that. What is all okay? Two ah Algebra 2 and pre-calc. Now that combination isn't possible because in math, right? There's algebra 1, geo, algebra 2, pre-calc, and then calc. Right? That's the progression. So over here, like geometry is the only place where you can double up. These other ones, they have to go in this order. You need to know everything in Algebra 2 before going on to pre-calc, and you need to know everything in pre-calc before going on to calculus. So doubling up only matters for like where geometry goes. Is it with Algebra 1? Is it in Algebra 2? Or is it just by itself? Oh, so Jimmy, if you can't hear anything, you may want to look at your computer settings for audio I'm unsure how I can help with that because I'm pretty sure my audio is turned on and I'm screen sharing and seeing all that. Maybe turn up the volume or unplug and plug in headphones. Oh yeah, okay. So type it out. So um okay. Yeah, good point. Good point. Yes, very good job. It's like us sending out tech surveys. Like, hey, everyone at Lowell, do you have technology? Let's send you an email. Okay. Check audio settings. Great question. Can you take Algebra 2 during the summer? I really don't recommend taking Algebra 2 during the summer. The district, SFUSD, will, it's set, like, if they don't offer Algebra 2 during the summer, right? You learn a lot in Algebra 2, and it should be taken during the school year. You should take your time with it. I don't know if there's online Algebra 2, but I really don't recommend that, especially to get you to calculus here at Lowell. But like geometry you can take during the summer. That's the one like flexible bit. Okay, pre-calc. Pre-calculus, now that's interesting because you can take some kind of pre-calc during the summer. Like this area after Algebra 2, like at this point you're probably a sophomore or a junior, maybe even a senior taking these classes, and pre-calculus is something that's offered at City College. So you could take the classes there, either during the school year, like in like the fall, or during the summer. But the problem with taking in the summer is you only have like 10 weeks of summer, and it's pre-calculus is a year-long course. Like, so everything's going to be squished. And I don't like maybe you can take half of pre-calc at City College, and then the other half, like you gotta take some other ways, right? Like one of our math teachers teaches like pre-calc at City College, which is why I know of this. But when you get to like some of your junior classes, City College becomes an option for you to get these requirements out of the way. For those applying to summer geometry, I think the deadline is today, and I asked the person a couple more questions about that. And so if you have questions around summer geometry, you can ask them, but I probably won't have the answers for those. Okay, any questions related to math before I go on to some of your other course options as a sophomore? Okay, so for summer geometry, there was a like it's an application process, and so the district offers some summer geometry. If you Google like SFUSD summer geometry, you'll see the link, and there's some things you have to fill out, and that's free of cost to you because you're an SFUSD student, and you can take geometry during the summer at some kind of high school, and that meets your uh, geometry requirement. The application is due today. There are lots of applications for people that want to take it, so you may get denied. And after that point, there are other ways for you to meet, there are other ways for you to take geometry during the summer. It's probably going to be online. And what online classes count for geometry, I don't know. But that's like what I think you should know about summer geometry, offered by SFUSD. Yeah, school's closed all the way till May 1st, and so May 4th would be the day we return back to school, maybe. And we'll get updates to the schedule every other day, like Monday, Wednesday, or Friday. That's when the big updates come out for SFUSD. That's when they call us. Okay. Schools like physically closed and they can't let you in because the custodians did like a deep cleaning, and they have to let it sit for 2 weeks so that everything is safe for when we get back. So, uh, okay, no word on school extensions just yet. I know as much as you do, and school is closed for an extended amount of time. No idea if school is being extended past like June 8th or so. And then I don't know any of the rumors too, whether or not we're going to have more school as of right now. My boss hasn't said anything just yet. Okay, so English, you gotta take, you can't take those cool electives just yet. Math, science is its own beast, so I'll save that for a little later. What about history? Okay, so history, as a sophomore, it's not required. You only need 3 years of history, actually, at that level. You take modern world, you take US history, okay, modern world, right? US history, so this is as a freshman. Then as 11th grade, right, you take US history, and then as a 12th grader, you take econ and American democracy. So as a sophomore, there is no required class for sophomore year, okay? Nothing required. But it doesn't mean that there's optional courses, right, for history. As a sophomore, you can take AP Euro, so that's AP European History, AP World History, which is kind of like Modern World, but more in depth. And then you have AP Human Geography. I don't know if you can take ethnic studies, and I'm not sure what department that falls under. So that's not an AP class, ethnic studies. Ms. Kalmos teaches it. Okay, but those are your 3 requirements. So now this is your first opportunity to, as like a sophomore, as a student at Lowell, for you to take an AP class. And these 3 are your history options. European history, you stay in the continent of Europe, you studied what happened there. That's what I took. And I, like, if I were to redo high school, I wouldn't take AP European history. It was a waste of time, even though it was an AP class. Like, I was going to take AP classes later anyways, and I would get the experience there. AP World, my friend group didn't take it, but now it seems like AP World is more popular at Lowell compared to AP Euro. It used to be like even. This is the newer AP. What's nice to know about Human Geo, it's 1 semester long. These 2 are year long. And like what, so what, right? What difference does that make? Well, these, they lock in your schedule, right, as a sophomore. So if you pick these, you have to commit to taking it the whole year. For this one, you can take it in the fall, you can take it in the spring, right? And then you have an extra slot somewhere in your classes. So that would be nice, and you still get the like experience in AP class. So that's maybe something you want to take. And this one studies like geography, where places are, how people interacted with each other. It's a smaller class, right? But it still falls under their history department. What's the best off block? I don't know, 1 or 8. I like always having block 5 lunch, but that's as a teacher. As a student, I didn't have a lunch, so I ate during my classes. When's the registration to take next year's classes? So as of right now, good question. Course selection and all of signing up to take next year classes, it should be happening maybe in the next 2-3 weeks. Mr. Dominguez, the counseling assistant principal, says that everything's on schedule, but I don't know what that means. He didn't give me any dates, but it still needs to happen because we need to prepare for next year when you are all going to be sophomores. So just keep checking your email and something will be released soon. And so I'm just telling you what you can like start to think about and plan about because this is your first time doing it for real, knowing like what classes to think about taking next. Yeah, so picking an off block, I would like 5 to be lunch. 1 and 8, having one of those off is good. Like if you play sports, 8 is good to have off. If you live far away, maybe block 1, or like you have a really hard time in the morning waking up, then don't take a block 1. So that's history. Any questions around history? No. Yeah, PE, that's a given. Uh, but as a sophomore though, you do have some options. I think they call it Fit for Life now. but that's just sophomore PE, right? But you should know you can take electives. And these fill up really quickly, right? Electives. What do I mean by electives? Like badminton, racket sports. You can take basketball. There's swimming. There's yoga. Let's see. There is, oh, weightlifting. Yeah, that one's fun. There's soccer. Okay. So you have those options as a sophomore, but like some of these are restricted. Like you have to be on the basketball team to make your way into here, or know Mr. Ray really well to get to take this class. Soccer, I think it's the same thing. But these other ones, it's kind of flexible. If you want to just like play these specific things, swim, do yoga, weightlift, or do badminton all the time, then you may want to sign up for one of these. So you don't have to go through that rotation of doing different sports. I think dance doesn't count as PE; it counts as an elective, so that would that's in a different category. And these ones fill up quickly because some people like taking these as a junior and as a senior, so you have more competition versus like PE, it's only sophomores that have to take like Fit for Life. And swimming, if you didn't know, they use the Sava pool on like Vicentia or Wawona in 19th. You have to like go there and come back. It's not at school. We don't have a pool, so there's traveling involved here. If you take racket sports, does it count for PE, correct? Oh, great. So as this one, I'm pretty sure as a sophomore, it counts for PE credits. And after you've fulfilled your PE requirement, then it counts as elective credit. Like if you take racket sports as a junior or as a senior, you still get elective credits for that. But the first time around, I'm pretty sure you get PE credits. You may want to email your PE teacher more specifically. That's my understanding. Okay, and then I saved a bigger topic like science. All right, this is where it gets kind of messy. Okay, science. Uh, like everyone as a freshman took biology, right? And now it branches off to like different things. Do you want to take physics? Do you want to take chemistry? And I don't know whether or not you can take AP Bio as a sophomore. Maybe. Okay, but your primary choices are these things: physics or chemistry. And I'm just adding a page because I'm going to need more space. Okay, physics has like different flavors. I think you can, you're right. Like unless because yeah, okay, good. Oh yeah, you probably take this as a junior or senior. I had a couple sophomores that took AP Bio, but like yeah, that's really tough because you have to be really on top of things. I think the recommendation is you take physics or chemistry. Okay, so there's regular chemistry, and now you have the option of taking chemistry honors. Same thing. Oh, not so much with physics. There's regular physics, but there is no physics honors. There's AP Physics 1. Okay. So it used to be called physics honors, but the school looked at the requirements. Like if you go back up to what I took, right? As a senior, I took physics honors, right? That. They don't offer that anymore because it's way too similar to the AP class, AP Physics 1. So they're just offering that instead. You could take both. There's some because the history requirement is optional. You'll see some people take 2 science classes, like they did with math. But the science teachers like that's why we have course selection because like if every single student took 2 science classes, then they won't have enough spots. So that's why they have to do some kind of filtering, and it is an option, but you may not get approved to take 2 science classes. Okay, so those are your 2 options for physics and chemistry, right? Regular is slower paced. It still teaches you things, but then over here for like ah yes, it's your game. Very good, Frankie. But then if you want something more engaging, like if you want something more math heavy, like AP Physics has that. It should be AP Physics is like forces and like a lot of math in Algebra 1. Parabolas, you're going to see that all again. So that's AP Physics 1. And that's another opportunity for you to take a AP class. So that might be worth it. And then chemistry, honors and regular. Honors covers more topics. It should be faster paced. And I won't comment on like the teachers that do so, but maybe that will factor into your consideration too, like which teachers are teaching chemistry and which teachers are teaching physics. And there are electives in science, but I think those are available to you as a um, junior. Like there's the fruit fly class, there's marine science, and all that stuff. But as a sophomore, you should really think about taking either of these classes. So as for me, I took chemistry honors, right, with a teacher that's no longer here but comes by the school, and I really enjoyed that experience. If you want to major in something medical field related, then you probably want to go the chemistry route. That's going to be more useful to you. If you're interested in engineering, that will be probably in the physics department, or if you're interested in math and that kind of thing, then maybe physics. But neither of these are better than one another. This one, chemistry honors, you should know that if you take, well, it's a little different now because the teacher's different, but I just took chemistry honors. And then when I got to college, it really prepared me well to pass like college level physics. I didn't take AP Chem when I was here. Cool. Questions around science? Is AP Physics like yeah, that's guaranteed, right? Because this is AP class versus a regular class, it should be harder. So you can expect AP Physics 1. If you're good at if you like get an A in Algebra 1, if you feel good in math, then it's going to be a little bit easier, but it covers way more content. It moves at a faster pace compared to like regular physics. All these classes, you still have labs like you do in biology class. That's going to continue. I don't know whether they have lab reports, but expect this one to be harder. Okay, so they're talking about their game. So just know that like later, there's also AP Physics 2, like for later, AP Physics 2. There's AP Physics B and C or something like that. That's for later. And then here, there's AP Chemistry for later. There's AP Bio. There's AP Environmental Science. I like that class. I took it. And I think those are the AP classes for science. So that's environmental science. AP. That's what they call it. They call it APES. AP Environmental Science, right? So APES is like a little bit of everything. It's the easier AP, as people call it. It's popular for that reason. I took it because it would be easier, and that studies like environmental interactions. It's a little bit of chemistry, a little bit of physics, a little bit of biology, and how the environment functions in the world. It's a lot of reading, a lot of terms, because that's what science is. It's an AP test, but people usually sign up for it because it's an easy science class and it meets your science requirements. So you'll see people mention that APES. And you'll also see people that like take it but then kind of regret taking it because it's like boring. It's a bunch of busy work. So you can ask your upperclassmen or your peer mentors about that. That's AP Environmental Science. Typically that's junior year or senior year when people take it. I took it as a junior. Yeah, and my AP Environmental Science teacher is still here. So I enjoy her class. She's still teaching it. So those are your core classes, I think. History, math, English, PE. Oh, right. And then you have your arts or elective, right? Art / elective. So you can think like you should get this requirement out of the way eventually if you're not like have a full course load. Um, so art or elective, so that's like language, whatever language you're taking. You, as a sophomore, if you meet the requirements, you can take an AP language class, like AP Chinese. Some of you will be doing that because you're in the third year of the language. There's dance, there's art, there's choir, band, orchestra. You should know that there's a guitar class. There's also piano lab. Okay, you can learn how to play the guitar, learn how to play the piano. That falls under this category, and I think you get the art electives for taking those classes. There's ceramics. Okay, with pottery, if you like working with clay. Piano lab, Mr. Wagner, the current band teacher, teaches you how to play the piano in the art wing. Really easy class, I think. So that's piano lab. Learn how to play the piano. There's drama. There's a lot of classes in this category. You have my favorite classes, computer programming. Okay. Yearbook, yep, yearbook counts as under here. There's also, since the teacher came back, he wasn't here last year, but there's photography and an architecture class. You can see Lowell has a lot of different electives. Yeah, band is here. I'll write it nicer. Band is good. Band is another one. Band. Yep. So you have a big, long list of things to do, right? You can also TA. Can't forget that, right? TA for Mr. Chan. I'll accept you. In this category, like you should be aware that language, you need 2 years, right? At minimum for UC requirements, and you also need 2 years of an art elective. I probably will accept Tracy. How does being a TA benefit you? Okay, now this is a good question, right? Like a genuine question. So, like for me, like let's say Frankie, like you want me to write you a letter of rec, correct? But if I just see you freshman year and later when you're a senior, you haven't taken like my class at all, or like our schedules don't align, like you still want to keep in contact with me, and I need material to write about, like why you should accept like Victor or Frankie to a certain school, right? You may consider like either voluntary or just if you have room in your schedule, we can work something out to be my TA. So that way I can still keep in contact with you. You can help me out, and then I have things to write about for your letter of recommendation, which you'll likely need for like jobs or college specifically. And so that's why you would TA. Also, you could TA for like a teacher to like help them out, but like let's say you really care about like chemistry, for example, and so you want to become a doctor later on. Let's say you already took chemistry honors, and then you took AP chemistry, and then your senior year you still like you know what you want to do, but there's no classes specifically for you to take. So then you may want to TA. It's like, oh, TA for your old AP Chem teacher, so you still know those ideas. Help them grade some papers. Stay in tuned with the subject. Yeah, or you can just have a free block. That's cool too. Having a free block is a good idea so that you can unwind, just have lunch, just sit around, socialize with your friends. That's another reason to not TA. That's all optional. But yeah, or you can just TA for me. That's always fun. I always like seeing students again and again. I have lots of funs with my TAs. So it's very easy. You won't like so if you are interested in TAing for like a certain teacher, you won't put that into course selection, right? You're gonna put that as a note, and then when the semester begins during week one, within like the first 2 weeks or something like that, you have to fill out a little sheet. It's a green sheet, and you just says like, I would like to be this teacher's TA, and then you ask that teacher, they sign it, and then they input you. But good question, because you wouldn't put a TA down in course selection, and you have to kind of put a note for that because let's say you only sign up for 5 classes, five, they might fill in, like give you a random class because you need like at least six or so. So then you got to put a little note that says, oh, my sixth class is going to be TA, so that the counseling department knows that, oh, the student's already planning to do that, they're fine. I think that's it for um, classes. So the decisions that you have to make for course selection, like what classes you want to do, is really like, okay, math, you have some idea. English, it's locked in place, right? But you have to do some thinking about what do you want to do about math? Do you want to take some kind of history class? And then what are you going to do about science? And then if you didn't meet your art elective requirement, do you want to take care of that now? So four things to kind of think about as a freshman going into sophomore year. But yeah, so that should summarize this first part. And then the next part is thinking, okay, you have some flexibility. I don't have the old, what's it called, announcer up, but you like in the fall, you'll see like this giant list, and I'll just draw what it looks like, right? That says, okay, algebra 2, right? That's going to be taught by Mr. Chan, block 4, right? And then you see all the other teachers that teach algebra 2, and then later on there's like English, right? English 2, Carney, right? Block 8. So this thing actually matters for you now because after you do course selection, right, you told the counseling department, oh, I'm going to take Geo, I'm going to take English, I'm going to take AP World, I'm going to take Physics, and Chinese. Okay, once you get that, that's part one. But then you got to think about, okay, but then what about time and teacher? Okay, so after course selection, you know what classes you got to take. Now you got to think about when and who to take it with. And that's one of the beautiful things about Lowell is that you have that flexibility. All other high schools, they stop here, right? You tell them the subjects, they give you a schedule. But at Lowell, you get to pick the time and teacher. So that's great because college, this is what happens, right? When I went to Davis, I had like my classmates, they were overwhelmed with this part. But since I went to Lowell, I had like 6 semesters of this kind of practice. I already knew how to build a schedule based on like when the offerings are for certain classes, right? So that regards like Lowell does do that well. But that also gives you overwhelming flexibility in like when and where to take your classes. Because now you can think about, okay, who do I want to take? Which teachers do I appreciate more? Which ones do I least appreciate? Is it offered at this certain time? Oh, I noticed Mr. Chan's teaching Algebra 2 Block 4, but also my AP World teacher, like, I don't know if I'm going to get into that class, so on and so forth. So it creates a bunch more complications. Um, and we'll probably talk about that when they give us more details, right? I can't really comment on how good teachers are. That's when you got to use your network of like people to ask like your peer mentors and like why you would take one teacher versus another. Ask your friends. And then timing, well, that's like up to you. Fitting things in. I think there's an app that kind of builds a schedule for you based on when this thing's released. That's the announcer. Okay, this thing. Announcer. Okay. But you know, we haven't even gone through part one just yet, so we can worry about this part when we get there. The announcer picking times and classes for things, and that's its own beast. Right. So that's like what I have to like lecture you about on these requirements. I'll post these notes in case anybody wants it to refer to, and I recorded some of this. Hope it's useful. I'll pause now to take questions. You can type them in if you want me to repeat back any of the stuff I mentioned, or you want me to elaborate more on my grades and what classes you want to take, other requirements that I may have missed. Okay, you can unmute yourself and ask me or type it in. Am I going to give homework soon? I've been giving, what's it called, COVID reviews up on Piazza. None of it's required because teachers can't require any of their students to do work just yet. We gotta wait till after April 13th to see if we get the okay to do that because people don't have Wi-Fi or the technology to do the work. So everything's optional. I posted um, homeworks, reviews, nothing too new. So like you don't have to stress about that. But if you want work, I can give you work. And there's already a lot of stuff posted on Piazza. So go check there. Like I posted, Katya, my Algebra 2 tests for when I taught it. You may want to look at that for the first semester. Okay, cool. So like work through that at your own pace. All that's optional. Computer sciences. Great question. You can see my boss is posting things to our math teacher Google Classroom and is giving me homework to do. Okay, so more on computer sciences. Good question. Thank you for asking it. Can't forget about that. Okay, so CS, right, at Lowell. So you have a couple options, right? There's my class, computer programming, A and B. Okay, that's one bubble. I don't know if I'm teaching that next year, but right now it's my class. If you pick it, you're guaranteed to be. I'm guaranteed to be your teacher. I don't know about next year. Then you have AP, CS, and here's the big word, principles, right? Principles. So this one is beginner friendly. Right, some people choose this to be their first AP class, and as a sophomore, you can take this. Okay, APCS principle is really popular because it's really easy, the class, because it's beginner friendly, everything's like online. The teachers that teach it know what they're doing, but from what I heard, it's the general consensus that it's not that hard. Right, you learn a little bit of coding, you learn a little bit about computers and how they fit into society and technology. You're always in front of a computer, and it's generally not as stressful as some of your other classes like AP Physics or the next one, right? AP CSA, right? That's in Java. So this one's not as beginner friendly. So if you haven't coded before, you probably won't want to take this class. Okay, this one's coding heavy. It's coding all the time. Okay, so if you never coded before in your life except for Pirate, right? So that was the coding experience I gave you all. You should consider taking this class or this class if I'm teaching it. Okay, that's your two options. I would not recommend taking this class just yet. Take this one afterwards, right? After you take one of these beginner friendly classes. Yeah, like save this for like junior year or senior year. This gives you a really good taste of what studying computer science is like. So save that. You want to be well prepared for this class. So take it easy, learn it from either of these. And all three of these, right, you can take as a junior or senior. As a sophomore, you'll probably want to take one of these two. What's nice about this class is it's only one semester. Okay, so you can pair, like a lot of people, because I taught it, they paired this with health, they paired this with AP Human Geography, and some of the other one semester classes we offer at Lowell. And this one counts for elective. All right, these are AP classes, so they last year, the whole year. A lot of sophomores do choose to take this because it's an easier class, and then be careful about this one. Yes, you could take up to computer science principles. Like you could start here because it's beginner friendly and you get an AP class. That's the main benefit of this one. It looks good for colleges. It's easy AP. And these three classes are what we offer for computer science. So good question. Sorry, I skipped over that. I figured I talked about it a bit too much already, but I realized I just advertised this one. Yeah, so for me, I'm probably going to be teaching one sections of these or this one. Computer science is not required for graduation. These three things just count as elective credit, and if you go to Lowell, you don't have to worry about elective credit. Like taking classes, you're good. So we'll cover next time. Okay, I see your question, Katya. Cover this next time. Oops. All right. Can I take chemistry? And yes. So like yeah, that could be something you could take. Let me add a page, right? So we can make up a theoretical like courses. So let's say you wanted to take chemistry, right? That's your science, good. And then you take AP CS principles, great. That's probably your elective. What are you going to do about math? What are you going to do about, oh, English is guaranteed, right? There's only English or 10th grade English. History, it's optional, right? History, art, language. So you got to think about those requirements, right? You already have 1 class, 2 class, 3 class. What math do you want to take? Like we can put in geometry, right? Or maybe algebra 2, it depends. So that you already have 1, 2, 3, 4 classes. You can take up to 6. Oh, I guess I can give you this announcement too. Like, because we have a new assistant principal and he wants you to be sure, like, you're probably going to take 6 classes, right? Well, 6 classes. There's going to be an application for 7 classes. They're not going to let everyone just sign up without seeing, like, can they handle taking 7 classes? So the norm is going to be 6 classes. Yeah. So for you, Katya, if you have 1, 2, 3, 4 things, I would recommend thinking about, okay, do you want to take these other 2 classes, right? Do you want a history? Do you want an art? Do you want a language? Okay, yeah. So if you already have 7, um, you may, like, I don't know what this application is going to be like. It's likely going to be like taking a look at your GPA, how you handle, how you're doing currently if you already signed up for 7 classes. So 7 classes means like, oh, you have your 4 core classes, you have PE, that's 5, and then you're probably taking an art and a language, or an art and some other elective, like 2 of those, or like a second math class. But it's going to be harder to take 7 classes now. And I don't recommend everyone take 7 classes. Like you just want to like enjoy high school and just take like 6. Language next year. It depends on your knowledge of the language. Like if you're fluent conversationally in like Spanish or Chinese or French, um, then you could probably like test into like one of those levels. But as a sophomore, I think I don't know if you can skip to the AP class, like AP Spanish language. I'm unsure. You have to go ask a Spanish teacher about that. Because I know as a freshman, they restricted you, like, you can't take an AP language as a freshman, even though you may be fluent in the language. You can only get up to, like, Chinese 5 or Chinese 6, but then not AP. So you have to wait till sophomore year to get into the AP class. So it depends, Frankie, for which language and your experience, and then whether or not you can be placed into the AP level. I'm unsure. Easiest language. Um, so from what I hear, like Spanish is usually the go-to thing. Italian, because those languages they're um, like most like English, right? Latin's really weird. That's another offering. Chinese is weird. It's very symbolic. It's totally different than what you're used to with English. So if you were to pick a language, probably one of those two, Spanish or Italian, just to get the requirement out of the way. Yeah, and Japanese too. Japanese is like Chinese. It's the symbolicness is really hard. Right. Yeah. Victor's the thing. I'm pretty sure you have to take the honors level before you take AP. Okay. And so I got another question. Okay, if you're in honors, then next year you can take AP for sure, if you want to. Okay. There was a question that was asked like, oh, can you take the AP exam and not the class? Yes, but it depends on the specific class. Okay, let's say you took language at like City College, then you can sign up for the AP credit and the AP test and be absolutely fine. It brings the school in more money without you having taking a school slot, but you have to go ask a specific teacher on how you enroll yourself in taking just the AP class, for example, in a language, and then not have to take the class. Okay. I don't recommend taking the AP test for like calculus without having taken the class first because that's really hard. But it's been done before, like English. English is going to be harder. I had a friend that did it, but I'm not sure that's recommended. Uh, yeah, let's stop. Okay. All right. Other questions, class? Can one cook rice with orange juice? Okay. I think you can. It's gonna taste weird, but as long as you have some kind of liquid to rehydrate to hydrate the rice grains, I think you're fine. Yeah, I agree. It sounds really nasty. Who wants? Oh, not really. So there was a genetic engineering revolution in like the um, East or South Asian countries where they were lacking in like vitamin C because they didn't have a lot of those. So there was a scientist that made orange rice that gets them the the certain vitamin or mineral that they needed. But it wasn't like orange as in the fruit, it was orange as in the vitamin or mineral, and that saved a lot of people. You can go outside. You're allowed to do that if your parents let you, and you can walk around. You have to maintain social distancing, so you can't be too close to people outside your household. But you can go outside. Like go into your backyard if you have one. Right. Grab like a yardstick, 6 feet, and then say you gotta stay away. But only point it at the right people. Okay. So that's the session one. Thank you all for joining me. If there's no other questions, I'll upload this to YouTube so you can refer to it later. Why is everyone buying TP? They're panicking, they're scared because every household, every home needs to use toilet paper in one way. And if you run out of toilet paper, then you're out of luck. Sanitizer. Yes. TP as in T pumps. I don't even know if boba shops are supposed to be open now. Sand sanitizer. They're essential. I see. Well, maybe they are. I don't know. You can go check. I don't disagree. And for those students, I might as well give the announcement here too. Like, tell your friends you should have taken the technology survey. If you don't, then your reg teacher is going to call you and then ask you those questions. So if you want to avoid having that conversation with your reg teacher, make sure you fill out that survey in your district email. All right. No other course selection questions or classes at Lowell? All right then. I'm gonna sign out. The second session will be at 4. I'll go over similar things. I'll record that and post it. It might be a different group of people. Have a good one, you all. Enjoy the time off. I don't think I'll be posting anything next week because it is spring break. But if you want more work, just let me know. I'll post some to keep you all interested. Okay. Bye.